taxes!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 157 of 91 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, Katie, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Grace and EJ.
Hello.
Hello.
Today, we will be talking about 9-1 Season 9, Episode 6, which is titled Family History, which this is also the fall finale. This is like the last episode we're getting for like 2 months, essentially. As always, there is a ton to talk about. It almost felt like there wasn't that much, but then like watching it back, I'm just like, oh wow, we have lots to talk about. And I also do want to mention that there is like a trigger warning for this episode. There is a like suicide attempt in the episode, so that we will be discussing that along with other themes such as bullying as it pertains to this episode. If you're triggered, you may want to skip those parts. Of course, we'll warn you when we're getting to a heavier scene and stuff, and I'll have like timestamps actually in the description for those specific scenes and stuff. I do appreciate I1 and ABC for not having these scenes be like super graphic,
Right.
and stuff, but obviously everyone, these are hard scenes in general to have to see and deal with and stuff. So I did still want to obviously say that.
And I also appreciate that on Instagram they posted a full warning when they aired the episode. I didn't see if they put one on the actual episode before it aired, but I did appreciate that. I saw that and I was like, oh, that's nice to know.
I didn't see it at the beginning when Hulu, but at the end it had the little thing that said, if you or someone you know is struggling with this, and it gave the suicide hotline.
I seem to remember I feel like I remember a episode in Lone Star where they did not do that and there was some blowback after that. So it sounds like some people learn from mistakes. So glad about that.
I mean, ABC, I watched several ABC shows and I have throughout the years. They've always been pretty good with like these kinds of things, like warnings and stuff. So I do really appreciate that. And obviously I like to do my own due diligence, and if there is something, even if the major audience might not be triggered by it, I do still like to mention it. I just feel like it's important and it's sort of like kind of our job and stuff. Anyways, let's get to the episode. So we started this episode with Chim is at home reviewing resumes for the potential captain, whatever, that could be potentially taking over. And I'm just like, this is always interesting when the person in the job is like picking out the replacement, essentially.
Yeah.
It's very weird. And so Maddie gets home early from apparently a book club, and us all being like avid book lovers, I did find so much amusement in this, because Maddie is talking about how she had to drive these two women home from book club, and because they got an argument over rosé, and Jim's like, seriously, you had to drive them both home? And she's like, yeah, they drove together.
Right.
And so then I love Jim being like, do you guys ever speak about actual books? Like, do you actually talk about actual books? And Maddie's like, yeah, the argument was about the book. And I'm just like, this is such comical 911. I never felt so back. And I know a lot of people have been saying this, that like these episodes have been reminding them of like season 1 and season 2, because there have been like obviously scenes in these episodes that have been like so many callbacks to the earlier seasons, and I feel like they're trying to almost get to like those like comical like stuff, but also like the other stuff as well.
Right.
And Maddie is checking up on Jim too and seeing what he's doing, and he's like saying, oh, I'm looking at over these resumes of these potential captains. Chief Simpson wanted him to like take a look too, and Jim's like saying how impressive they are, and then Maddie puts a picture of Jim and Gia on top of the resumes and says like, I think you're missing one, what about that guy? And Jim tells her it can't be him. And Maddie's like, well, why not? Chief Simpson offered you the position. You've been doing it for months and pretty successfully from what I can tell. And Jim's like, he told him he didn't want it. And I love how Maddie is like, uh-huh. And she's like, but now you do. And Jim's face is just like, and Maddie tells him to call him and tell him, and he changed his mind. And Jim's like, did I change my mind? Or am I just looking at three strangers who don't really compare to Bobby. And it's like, well, nobody's gonna compare to Bobby. Like, it's just obviously not gonna happen. And also, like, you never want to think like that. Maddie tells him to forget about what he wants and asks what he thinks the team wants. And Jim says he doesn't know. Jim says it's one thing to be interim captain, but to make it official, what if things change? What if they resent me for thinking he could take Bobby's place? And Maddie's like, hey, nobody can take Bobby's place, but maybe you've earned your own place. And Jim
Good job,
says,
Maddie.
yeah.
Yeah, she got it. She got that one.
Yeah,
Yep.
she said all the things
Right.
that he has to like, think through in his mind or realize. It's like somebody else has to say it for you to be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Jim says, how you really think that's how the 118 would feel about it? Maddie says, yeah, I do, because you're family. And I'm just like, oh, already in the episode, and I'm just like, oh.
Right. But I was like, good on Maddie for like saying something, because I think she's watched him struggle this whole time with, she's like, I know he wants it, but he's afraid to take over Bobby's place. And he's been, and so she knew it. And then, you see, oh, these are the three finalists. Well, really, there should be four, and he should be one of them. Or it should never have gotten to a point where they were looking at somebody else.
Yeah, I totally understand it too, because obviously he has like immense like survivor's guilt because Bobby died for Jim to live.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's hard because it's like now he's in this position where it's like, oh, so I guess I might be the captain. Do I let myself take that position? Do I let myself be proud to take that position?
Yeah. Definitely a lot of mix. And I also think that like going all the way back into season 1 as well, I think no matter how far Jim has come, he still wrestles with those same insecurities we saw him wrestling with in season 1, season 2, that kind of thing. Whereas like now they're not so much manifesting in like his relationship for him, but that's because he was comfortable in his job at the time. Now he's being tested in his job and being encouraged to grow, and he's struggling. I just think it's interesting to be going back and kind of seeing that. And also reluctantly, I might have fully come around to Captain Jim too. I always liked him. I always just wanted Hen. But I think I might be now.
Yeah, I was a hesitant, but because we had the end of season 2 when Bobby was on suspension and Jim was interim captain, and it just didn't go well. But I think Jim he was in a different place mentally and physically at that time. And, he's grown a lot in the last few seasons, and, becoming a dad and getting married. Those are like all greats in his life, things that at the time, Jim was still struggling with. So I'm okay with Jim taking it over, because I think when Maddie asked him about what the team would want, I feel like a lot of us kind of felt like, well, the team doesn't want some stranger to come in and take over. They want a familiar face. So they would happily support Jim taking over somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Maddie was saying bars during this whole thing. I'm just like, she was being a supporter.
And you know what? Like the outcome, it really just shows that it like all works out, or like you're able to like see things differently, and it really just does. So then in true 911 fashion, we go to a very chaotic whatever scene.
This was weird.
This was kind of funny, but also just like I'm just like, okay, yep, we're getting like that scene. So we go to a family reunion where a new girlfriend basically shows up with her boyfriend to this huge family reunion with all these cousins, aunts, and whatever. And she's like trying to figure out, she wants to get all their names down, know who they are, blah, 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 blah. And I love one of the cousins who's basically like saying that like you won't get one of these, like the t-shirts they're all wearing for the reunion, until you get one of these, holding up an engagement ring. And I'm just like, okay. And so naturally, every family reunion you see on TV has like some sort of sport. Most times it's like baseball or like a football league or whatever. So no, this family, apparently they like to play tug of war, which I actually find very funny because when I was in elementary school, it's like a huge thing. I believe even in middle school we did this, but basically at the end of school year every year there was like a huge tug of war, like whatever you want to call it. Like we did tug of war every year, and it was like so like each grade would battle it out to see which one would win. And I can't remember if like the grades went up against each other. I don't think so, but so I had like in my like young years, I had a very familiar like this is a familiar thing for me. And so I was just like thinking about that. And but mine never went like this graphic. Mine always, and
I hope
I
not.
Yeah.
Your hands
no
still look
guys.
intact.
No, guys, it was a very normal, but it's just so like tug of war in that and since it was very like normal speaking, I guess, like I was just like, oh my God, that's crazy. But I have very, very core memories about that. So whatever, they start doing tug of war. And of course, while they're doing tug of war, the girlfriend starts choking on something. And so she basically has to give herself like the Heimlich maneuver,
By
like on
herself.
yeah, on herself. And
Which you can do. It's just
Yeah.
difficult.
Right.
yeah, it's just like, okay. And of course, you're just like, okay, something's going to happen to these people, but you really don't know what. And then all of a sudden, the rope like snaps, and I'm like, so you guys obviously picked out the most cheap rope you could ever use because in
Mm-hmm.
my years of tug of war, I've never even like thought about that. Um,
Right.
but whatever. Um, it's 911. We're gonna like disregard a few things, but the rope, something happens to the rope, it snaps, and then all their fingers also snap off with it.
Ugh,
And
that was
it's just like
disgusting.
it was
Ah.
very gross and stuff. So the
Yeah.
118 responds, and I love Buck asking, "Has anybody ever been to a family reunion?" And naturally, Eddie's like said he did once. His uncle Tito tried to sell him a timeshare, and I'm like, of course he did. And
There's always
um,
one in a bunch.
yeah, literally. Because Buck was like, "Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun." And Chim's like, that doesn't sound like fun. And like Buck
Wait,
wants
maybe on Chimney's end with the Lees. Not
Right.
with the Buckley.
No, not with
not well,
these.
yeah, that fair point. And then so Buck's like, we should do something like that. And Chim is like, have you met our family? And I am like, he makes a lot of good points. So
Because
they
even with Chim's biological family and then Buck's family, nope.
Oh
Absolutely not.
gosh, no.
Absolutely
nothing
not.
along this line apparent because no. Basically what they have to do is they have to find all these fingers, and so hopefully when they bring them to hospital they can reattach them. So now they're identifying all these fingers, and I just love how the way they were like, who has French tips? And I was just like,
That
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 I do.
sent me for whatever reason. Then it was the mom who had. I was like, that sent me.
of course. And then like the engaged cousin is of course freaking out because your wedding's soon and whatever. And she can't find her. She's like looking for a wedding ring, and of course the girlfriend is the one to find it because it's like sparkly. It's like, oh, and like obviously she's very happy that she like found it and whatever. And then I love how after all this, Chim asks Buck if he still wants to do this with their families. Buck says maybe like every third Christmas.
Also, I want literally watching the scene. It was funny because I was just there, like, actually, win boyfriend though. Like, he was trying so hard to make sure his girlfriend was not bullied into things or like made do anything she didn't want to do. Like, he was actually kind of being a win boyfriend, in my opinion. Watching
Oh
the scene, I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
okay,
He was
actually,
giving her a heads up. She knew, like, yeah, he
It's
was
not
doing
like
the
she
right
walked
things.
into stuff that she didn't know about. Like she knew this is gonna be some type of crazy.
Right.
yeah. And like he kind of like stopped his family from walking over her in a couple of places or trying to make her do. I was just I don't know, for some reason that was just refreshing. Like I know this was just like the kind of odd one out emergency we had of the episode because we're back into those fashions. But I don't know, interesting and a little gruesome, but
I love
it is what it
chaotic
is.
emergency every once in a while, you know.
Right.
I just love how
Also,
they didn't explain what happened, did they?
I
not
mean,
really. I think it was just the tension on the rope and the way everybody was holding it, and just when it snapped, it just like
It
Some of
wasn't like
those
a very sturdy rope, so like you had to think that it was just like poorly made and they should have
Mhm.
been obviously dealing with something way firmer. I don't know. I didn't really think about it too much. I was just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
It didn't feel like something you're supposed to think about too much. So, but I did. I was like, how? You know what? I'm not asking questions I don't want answers to.
Right. And I loved this next scene. It was so funny. Next scene, they're all getting ready to head out after the end of the shift. Eddie is talking about like protein powder and soda, saying how it tastes like a root beer float, and like is asking if they're in. And Buck is like, "Yeah, like I'm in." And Henna's head is getting some sort of rash, and she's kind of questioning, like, "Oh, we such good glove brands." Eddie's like, "No, we're using the same one we always use." And then Buck is telling her that she should try beef tallow and says that it's super hydrating. And Hen's like, yeah, and smell like jerky all day? No thanks. And I'm like, yep, same Hen, same. Leave it to Buck to know some weird remedy you can do.
Yeah.
And then Hen's like, I'll just take an antihistamine like later or whatever. And then so then Jim comes in. This is when things get weird. He's being so weird and he asks for a word. And he's like, yeah, what's up, Cap? And Jim says how he just wanted to take a moment to commend them all. And they're all kind of looking around at each other, like thinking, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, like what
And
just happened?
yeah, literally. And Hannah's like, okay, on what? And Chip is like, on an excellent shift and on all your commendable excellence in the field. And he just wanted to say that it's an honor, a gift to lead this team, you know? That's all. And there's like so much awkward silence in this part, but I think it's so funny. And
Yeah.
everyone's just like, what the hell is going on here? And Jim is like, all right, and leaves. And I love how after, like their faces, and he's like, okay, what was that? And Buck
Yeah.
being like, is he retiring or something? And like, Buck, he is not at the retire age,
Not yet.
so he's pretty far off from it. And then Hen says, like, Hen's just like, I think he was trying to be inspirational, and them all looking at each other. And he says, okay, let's get out of here before he does that again.
That was so
It was
I love
so
that.
funny.
that was
I
so
understand, Chem, because it's just like
yeah.
sometimes you don't know what to say, and I feel like I've been in those conversations, not necessarily in this exact scenario, but just like in generally speaking. I've definitely said some things that I'm just like, and it's funny because everyone has those moments where you say something really stupid, and then you think about it randomly for years, like every once in a while, and you're just like, you idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So yeah, that I don't know,
That was,
that was so funny.
yeah.
So then Harry shows up at Buck's, and Harry, this is so funny because Buck had no context to anything. So
Right.
Harry tells him and gives him like this letter, and he's like, just like, I got in, and gives him the letter, and Buck is like, this is from the LAFD, and Harry's like, yeah, I got accepted. Well, not accepted, but like invited to like take the CPAT and like do the interviews and all that stuff. And I love Buck, and he's like questioning this, and he asks, "Oh, were they recruiting at your high school?" And Harry's like, "No, I dropped out." And Buck is like, "Wait, you dropped out of high school?" And Buck asks, when did that all happen?" And Harry's like, "Oh, when I turned 18." And Buck asks if his mom knows. And Harry says yes, and Buck says she's okay with this. And Harry says, no. And Buck is like, okay, when did you apply to the fire academy? And Harry says, well, the day after you let me ride along with you in the rig. And Buck is like, oh God, that's what I was afraid of. And Buck is, if Athena, is mad at him, and Harry says, oh, your name never came up. And Buck is like, ooh, that's a relief. He's probably like, damn, because it's just like, he's probably scared of his past that Thena's gonna come after him or be like,
Right.
so it's like, it's a little bit of trauma for him. And Buck is like, even once this letter arrived, and Harry says how Athena doesn't know about the letter, and Buck says he is starting to feel like an accomplice to a crime he didn't commit.
Buck's one-liners in this were so good.
They
It
were
was
great.
so
I also
good.
love how he was trying so hard to be like, whoa, wait, back up. What do you
This
mean? Like he was
this reminds
Right.
me of like the episode where Buck's like, "Wait, can we start over?"
Oh
I
yeah, Ocean's 118.
Yep.
Yes. Wait, this is perfect. That is exactly how he was in the scene.
It was just like after everything that was said so far in this scene, and then Buck being like, "Wait, come again?" Like he just had to
Right.
get all the details. And then Harry says how he is not hiding anything. He says how things with his mom are really complicated right now, and it's not like there is anything to tell right now. Anyways, he just got invited to take the CPAT and do the interviews. And Harry says if he is accepted, he'll tell her, he'll tell everybody. But right now, it is important for to him that he does this on his own. But so why tell me? And Harry's like, well, I need your help. And yep. I love that this is where this is going because, like,
Yeah.
honestly, Buck is the perfect person to ask about this sort of thing.
Lord Buck incoming.
Yeah, it really.
Oh my gosh, he was in his element.
He was.
Wait, can we get a brief stint of him at the academy
Oh gosh.
helping train? I want this, please.
I could see that in his path at some point because I feel
We
like
know
with
Rafi did
his
it.
past, he would be a really good trainer.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
this is like one of those things where like your parents are like when you grow up you're gonna have a kid. I hope you have a kid that did the same shit you did. And Buck is really just like, oh yeah, this is like the other version of me, but maybe not the same thing, but like sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
So the next scene involves the 911 call, which trigger warning for this scene. So a mother calls 911 basically saying that her daughter, like something's happening to her daughter, like she's not breathing, and Maddie's like asking about is there a medical condition that could have caused this? And the mom mentions that she took a bunch of pills. And Maddie's like, well, how much? And it's like the whole bottle or whatever was left of the bottle. And Athena was first on the scene and she goes in and Athena was like able to give her Narcan and stuff. And then she wakes up. And then while this is all happening, obviously Athena is having flashbacks to obviously like season 1 with May and that kind of stuff, which I think it was good that they did revisit this because really they haven't like yes in May's point of view they have talked about it, but like for Athena they really haven't talked about it or revisited it really.
This was a tough call. Well, yeah, and then you could kind of see it written all over Athena's face. Like she was so determined. Like she was there first. She got there. She's like she's administering Narcan, which I think most cops nowadays are required or not required to, but most of them carry Narcan for that reason. Because oftentimes, sometimes the cops are the on scene first.
Right. A lot of just in general, a lot of people do carry it on them. It's actually like I had seen like videos even of moms like packing like essentially like totes for their kids that are going off to college. And I know one mom, I saw a video randomly, and she had actually put Narcan in there because she's like, this is good for like it was almost like tips of what to bring. And she was like, it's actually good for them to have Narcan. Like everyone should carry Narcan because you never know what might happen or what you might come across and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just in general, like that's a good thing.
Yeah. And also, hi, EMT student. Is currently in her pharmacology section. What's nice about the whole like Narcan thing is that if you give it to someone and they are not experiencing a drug overdose, doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't harm them. It doesn't hurt them. It's literally that's what's so nice is that people that do not have training can and should have access to it because it's not like you're going to make a problem worse.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's also like, I don't know, I just remember us talking in class about sometimes cops give Narcan to people and they didn't need the Narcan, but check that off.
Right.
Was that a drug overdose? What else is going on?
Yeah.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, I I have been told by doctors, because I was in caregiving for a while, so sometimes I had to take my clients to the hospital when there's certain things going on. And I remember being in the ER one time with one of them, and somebody came in going through an overdose, and they were given Narcan. And I remember hearing them screaming for like hours because Narcan literally stops everything, like any medication you took, even stuff that you normally would take, like your vitamins and all, it just completely stops it all. And so pain meds, any antidepressant, and all of that. So it's like really scary to watch somebody come down off Narcan because they're in pain and they don't want to overdose them again by giving them pain medication and more of their normal meds. So it's like sometimes they have to be in pain, and it's so scary to hear that. And this was just a tough case in general, especially as like throughout the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, and just hearing the mom's side of the story as I rolled my eyes. I'm also surprised that, because the woman was talking to Athena, that CPS didn't get involved like it did with May back in season 1.
Well, they did mention a later scene that she was 18.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah, they
Probably
did.
why.
That's right, because she was talking about them being seniors in high school now. Okay. So
So they get the daughter, Alicia, to the hospital, and then they get her back, and then they bring her to the hospital. And so like they're talking, Athena's talking to her, and apparently she got these messages starting 6 months ago. And at first they were like very generic, like you're stupid, you're ugly, stuff like that. But then it got like severely worse. And the mom notified the school, and the guidance counselor basically said that there was nothing they could do about it. Which, when I was in high school and like cyberbullying was becoming a very new thing and stuff, and I vaguely remember like different things like in school where like there was like a period of time where schools were like, well, if it doesn't happen in school, we can't really do anything about it. But then like it became like a thing where I almost think it was a law where like if it involved like some like even if it was cyberbullying, the schools had to like do something about it. Like they had to at least they were mandated to do something and stuff. I remember like hearing about that. So that was an interesting tidbit that they put in here, but obviously like I don't even know. But Athena takes a look at these messages too, and like obviously they're like very vile, and it's like very sad that this is just what's happening. And then the mom's like saying how basically Alicia is friends with these mean girls, and like she thinks it's one of them, and like she stopped hanging out with them because of all this, and she just like Alicia just doesn't know who to trust. And then the mom says how, oh, you can trust me. And Athena tells them that she's like she has been where they are, and Athena says that she's gonna get to the bottom of this, and like whoever's behind this will be sorry when she does. Like you have my word. Which, good on Athena. And like, yeah, she would know better than anybody else. And
oh yeah, for sure.
this is tough, especially where it goes later. But obviously I don't want to get too much into it, even though we all know what happens. I just like to talk about things in order, that's all.
Yeah. I think, I was really happy to see how Athena was taking it, and because I know like some people don't quite understand cyberbullying, but having Athena having gone through it with May and learning about what was going on with May, I'm glad that she was the one responding and all that.
Yeah.
Even if it did draw up old memories and wounds from that. I don't think she ever really dealt with it.
Yeah, it is like a tough thing like to deal with. Like I have my own personal like things with just like this type of situation, not necessarily this exact scenario, but like different things. I remember like I get very triggered when people at work will talk about like people like committing suicide or like attempting and stuff. Like people just out in the open be talking about it. I'm like, can you not be talking about this? Like I've had it just it yeah, it's just like it's hard. But then we go to the next scene, which is at this like CT scan MRI place. And I know like I was trying to puzzle with the promo last week where the heck they could be responding to, because it was just like, and then I was like, oh yeah, this go figures, this makes perfect sense. So apparently this woman decided for her 40th birthday present that she was going to get a scan, which I know about these things because I've definitely seen like ads where like influencers like will go get these like full body scans. They're supposed to tell you all these things about your body, which I mean, I get it. Like I do find like human body or just even knowing your own body, I do find that interesting. Um, but I'm like, of course, this is where this is going. So yeah, like it's an elective CT scan, like, so if you're getting one of these done, it's because you want to, because insurance doesn't cover it. Like, because it is elective, you don't have to get this done. It's not like medically necessary, even if it can tell you things about like yourself. And I'm just like, it's like, I think it's terrible because like when he's doing the scan, he's like talking on the phone with other like potential clients. And it's just like one of those things where he's like taking calls and then he's like, "Oh yeah, so you want to go with this package, like or whatever." And as like he's not paying attention to her, and that's like, what if she had like like an adverse reaction or like something medically started happening, because you never know what could happen. Even like being in like these like machines, people a lot of times get claustrophobic or anxious. Like I know for me personally, when I fractured my arm when I was like 7 or 8 or something, I like had to get like x-rays for like months. And I remember like just being in like a dark room by myself. I was just like so scared. And like I for a while after that, like I was scared of like just being alone like in a room like that. Like it was terrifying, so I can't even imagine like this part of it. And like
Yeah.
she is grasping at her neck too, and he's not like alert to anything that's happening. He's just on these phone calls, whatever. And after the scan is done, he's talking about, oh, like you
Yeah.
get a gold star for staying so still. And it's like, dude, she was staying so still because she's basically gonna like she's close to death.
Yeah. Oh
But
my
she's
God.
having some sort of reaction
I was
to
so
it.
mad at him. Ugh.
Yeah. And
Well, the thing is also like the whole scan he said took 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
She's been dead, and like we go through the whole kind, like we go through the whole rest of the scene, but it's like, yeah, no.
Right. And that
yeah.
I would have thought
He
he would have
due to
seen
his
something on
negligence.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the
no.
videos
Fucking
I've seen of
quack.
people in real life getting these done, it's like they say, oh, like the scan does take like 30 minutes to an hour. You can like, and then a lot of times they'll have like a movie playing for the person or something. And I'm just like apparently that's the draw. I don't know, or at least part of it. And then so the 118 response. And I love how Buck is like, this is a doctor's office, and he's like, it looks like a spot, and Hen's like, well, it's a little bit of both. It's recreational imaging with a complimentary coffee, and I'm like, yep, that's how they get him in. So they're like
Yep.
taking over and stuff from like the compressions and stuff, and to hopefully get her back, but we all know how this is gonna go. And like, so this guy talking about like, because Eddie's like, wait, you gave her lorazepam or whatever, and he was like, oh, well, it's standard procedure. And Eddie's like, well, yeah, you probably made it worse. And Chim is like asking like Hen, like, because he gave her like contrast dye, and he says, oh, like, yeah, that's like that's what we're supposed to do. And Chim's like, well, what, an allergy is like 1 in 100? And Hen's like, yeah, but this is like like this is a more severe case, so it's closer to 1 in 1 million. And but it's hereditary. But apparently they have like no like family history or anything on her. And I love when they're doing CPR and the guy tells Hen he should just shock her, and Hen's like saying she's like she's flatlining, Dr. Brett. We can't shock a systole. I loved her going off on him.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
me
this
too.
dude is a doctor, but
Also,
like
I
at
loved
what?
the accurate information happening here. No, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot shock asystole. There is no electricity to shock. Like,
Exactly.
I
Amen.
was so happy they were doing this right in this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was. Thank you.
I
You
I
actually
did
did it
love
right.
it because there are a lot of times where on shows when they show things, it's not the accurate representation. Like
They'll be
so
like,
they
"Oh,
will,
flatline, you got a shock." No,
yeah,
there's nothing to shock.
Yeah, like even the image of it won't be the right thing, and so people are like, nope, that's wrong, which as they should. And then they do another round at Effie, but she's clearly gone. She's been gone. And even this doctor says like she's gone, but then Hen tells him he doesn't get to call it. And like he's like, well, I'm a doctor, and like Hen's like, yeah, of a spa.
Uh-huh.
And Chim says that they will get her to the hospital and they can just call it there. And Hen's hand is like tremoring, and this doctor is like, are you okay? And I love Hen being like, are you diagnosing me? And he says, like, oh, I'm just trying to help. And Hen tells him he's not a doctor, he's a salesman, which I mean, she's not wrong. Even
Mm-mm.
if he does have a medical degree, like he's so far out of like
Yeah.
real
True
medicine.
medicine. Yeah.
This woman died because of negligence,
Yeah.
like flat out. And I have no idea if that's going to wind up being like if that would wind up being a thing. Like later on,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like anything's happening. But I don't know. It's like, hey, dude, you should have been watching your patient.
Yeah. And she's like, you scam people and credit cards, which that was such a line.
That was
Yeah.
such
And
a
I'm just
bar.
like, go
The
off,
lines
Hen.
were so good in this episode.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of good one-liners in it for sure.
Like the writers team was actually on point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I'm just like, yep, go off. And so many things with this. So then Buck brings Harry to train at the academy, and I love him giving like the speech because he's like, the Los Angeles Fire Department, every year thousands apply, but few are accepted because this is not a job, it's a calling. And I'm like, why do I feel like he should be in like the academy commercial for the
Yep.
LAFD?
Right.
And he's like, and your journey to becoming a firefighter starts right here. And it's just like I love Buck helping Harry train and like asking
Yeah.
him questions.
That was
And
so good.
it was really good. And I love the part where Buck asks Harry like how many stations there are, and then he's asking him, what's the best station? And Harry's just like the 118, and Buck's like, hell yeah. Don't say that in the interview though. That was so
Aw.
funny. I loved that. And Buck, like, after all this trading, Buck says how Harry is ready. So, yeah, that was like a fun scene. I loved what Buck did with it. It was really fun.
Yeah, I really liked it. I just I love seeing Buck moving into like his big brother-ish mentoring
Mm-hmm.
role. Like it's kind of nice. It is nice to see him move out of that like baby role that
Right.
he's
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
been in
for
for a
sure.
while.
Mm-hmm.
And I love watching him expand into this. Like, yeah. He did a great job whipping Harry into shape.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's not easy,
Absolutely.
and I loved, the questions that he was asking. Like he wasn't just, saying, "Oh, you have to do this many push-ups and this." Like he was like with them. And I'm like, I know, when did Buck get a truck? Because last I thought he had the Jeep. I know last
The
season
Jeep's
when
not been around for a while.
it hasn't
Yeah.
been. I'm sure it was like contracting with whatever company they got vehicles from, and they just ran out of contract with that one. But it was just like, when did Buck get a Jeep? Not that I'm complaining. I like, and it's a Nissan Frontier, so it wasn't a bad vehicle. I was just like, oh, okay. It's just not what I pictured Buck in for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was funny because I had that thought, but not because of the Jeep, because I was like, oh, I know the Jeep hasn't been around for a while. But then I was just like, seeing Buck in a truck was kind of funny. I don't know why. It just was. I don't
But
picture him
why
as
are
a
you
truck
acting like a
guy.
white why are you acting like a white cis man? Like I know you are a white cis man, but why are you acting like a white cis man?
I mean, it's kind of
I
like, I don't
mean,
know, anymore. It's also standard protocol for most firefighters. So Grace, you might as well get a truck at some point.
I guess. So she
I mean,
no,
I
but
don't know
there's so
about
many
that,
iconic
but I feel
pickup
like,
trucks.
yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
like, oh,
Like,
okay.
it's just kind of one of those things where I look at Buck and that, like, looks wise, just like Buck as a person, I'm just like, I don't see him as a truck guy. But like when we see Eddie with a truck, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes it definitely a lot of
Oh,
sense. I don't know. It's just my thought process. Like, to me, it's just like if we saw Chin with a truck, I'd be like, what is this man doing? Like, I just don't see him as that kind of guy. Like,
right.
it's just how I think. I don't know what to say about it. But then Athena is interviewing all these girls who may have been bullying Alicia. And Athena brings up the texts, like, and stuff with these girls. And like the text started apparently like right before their senior year. And Athena, like with interviewing these girls, they're like kind of pointing her to Alicia's best friend Bailey, who apparently they had like a falling out. Um and like the text may have been part of that. So then Athena goes to talk to Bailey about the text, and Athena even said that like Alicia didn't accuse her, and Bailey says like, well then who did? And then like you can tell where this is going because she gives her phone up right away and goes, fine, go through it. Like,
Right.
okay. And so it's like obviously somebody that's guilty is not gonna give you their phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all know like how that is. And then Bailey asks like if Alicia's okay, and Athena says like, oh, she's having a rough time, like you should pay her a visit. She could really use a friend right now. And then this scene confused me a little bit, but I think that's the point. But so we go on to Hen on the phone with her mom, and she is talking about like an uncle that had a stroke and is like questioning that, but it apparently was because of like a car accident. And then she's wondering about different family histories. And obviously, this is like a one-sided call. We're only hearing Hen's part of it,
Hmm.
just what Hen's saying. And Hen's mom is probably questioning why she's being asked all these random medical-ish questions. And Hen's like, oh, it's for a school project about family history. And I'm just like, whose school project? And she's like, oh, I gotta go, but I'll talk to you tomorrow. And then when she gets up from the phone, something
Yeah,
happens
wait.
and she
How did she
collapses.
try and explain that, seeing as neither of the two kids are her DNA? How did she try to
That's
explain that one? Wait a
she
second.
really just she really just pulled that out of her ass and just hoped to
Yeah.
finesse something there. But honestly, that is a very good point that Chris just brought up.
Yep.
Like,
It's
That's
that's
like,
why
wait,
it
why
didn't even
with
click to
Eva
me.
and Nathan or whoever the guy's was like DNA that Denny came from, and Mara's adopted.
Right? Oh my gosh, good
It's
call. I
not,
didn't even think about that when I
well,
saw the
that's
episode.
why I was like, whose school project? Like, where, what?
And then I was
you
like,
saying that
she,
is what made me think about it. I was like, wait a second.
But yeah, so she collapses. Like, it was very weird. Like,
Naturally.
and then what's weird about it is so she collapses, right? And then it's dark. Like, so she comes to and it's dark. And I'm like, okay, if you collapse, I don't necessarily know what happened. If you collapse, like, and you're waking up and it's dark, okay, I don't know how much time has passed, but like, this is very interesting.
right.
And
Yeah.
she hears her phone
Presumably an hour or so.
vibrating on the kitchen table or whatever, and she's trying to get it, and so she pulls like the table or the placemat or something and to get it on the ground. So it's Karen, she picks it up, but she's too late, so she redials and calls her back, and she's like, oh, I got stuck at work, I can't make it, as she's laying on the floor. And I'm just like, okay, like in the moment I'm like, Hen, why are we doing this? But also like I get that she probably doesn't want to scare Karen if she tells
Yeah.
her that she collapsed, because like that's just like how it
Karen
is.
is not going to be pleased. She's
No.
not going to be happy when she finds out.
Mm-mm.
I mean, depending what's wrong, I think that she's gonna be more concerned if Hen's okay than about her lying about her being collapsed on the floor. And at least she was collapsed on the
Absolutely. But
floor and it wasn't her
it'll link
lying
back.
something else. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Or she didn't hit her head and like had a big bleeding wound coming out of her head too on top of the fall.
Yeah.
yeah. Which granted she fell forward, so at least that's a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to reason with it, but yeah, I kind of understand, but I was just like, Hen, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Uh
she's fishing for information from her mom for sure. Because she definitely
yeah.
wants to see, because like something's going on in her head. She's realizing something's wrong and it's not necessarily something acute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Athena and May are having a girls' night in, which honestly I love this. Like I love the
Yeah.
Love
mother-daughter
it.
bonding. Like it's so weird because obviously when this show started, like May was a teenager and stuff, and same with like Corinne, she was much younger.
Hmm.
Like we saw
Mhm.
these kids grow up on this show, and now we're seeing Athena and May like have a girls' night in, like drinking together.
I
Like
know.
I
I was like
love it.
drinking
Like I love
wine.
that we're
What?
getting this for them. So I love May saying to Athena, like when Athena invited her over, she kind of was expecting a home cooked meal. And I love Athena saying, I don't know why you know how I feel about cooking these days. And I'm like, yeah, Bobby was clearly the cook of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Athena
Yes.
obviously did not lift a finger that wise, which honestly I love that, but like I
Slay
just
girl.
love her response. That's like any mother's response, like you're grown. And
Right.
exactly Athena's response, because she's like, you're grown, you're welcome to cook for me. And it May is kind of like, you invited me over here. And like he is right. She is grown. And I love them drinking wine together and they cheers to like mother-daughter bonding. And I love how Athena is like saying how she's still not used to drinking wine with her baby girl. I think that's like one of the things she realized when your kids are
Mm-hmm.
grown. And I'm sure my mother had this thing when I was like at when I was at this age where it's just like, oh yeah. I think my mom even my mom's like, yeah, I don't feel like I should have a 30-year-old and a 27-year-old. I think my parents have those moments sometimes, and it is a funny thing. But then May finds these papers from obviously the case Athena is working, and she asks, what is this? And Athena tells her she shouldn't read that. And May sees like, oh, the messages and asks, like, somebody sent these messages. And Athena says, yeah, to an 18-year-old girl. She's being cyberbullied. She tried to take her own life. And May is like, I see. And then May says to Athena, like, Mom, you know I'm okay, right? And Athena's like, mm-hmm. Of course I do. And May says that she just feels like she has to say it because they never really talk about it. And Athena says that they've talked about it, and May says she has talked about it, but not really to Athena. And Athena never talked about it. And May wonders if she left this out for May to find it. And Athena says whenever she thinks about it, it just breaks her heart that May was in so much torment under her roof and she didn't see it. And Athena says, like, how she's sorry that she let it happen to May. And May says, you know what I think about when I look back on it? That pain that she was in, and we see the flashback. She remembers waking up in that hospital
God,
bed
the
and seeing it.
flashback broke me.
I know. And she sees Athena's face and she knew she was gonna be okay because the one person she needed most in this world was her mom. And Athena says, like, of course she was, and she always will be. And Athena remembers to like Alicia being in the hospital with her mother and like telling her daughter that she can trust her. And this makes Athena realize something. And Athena's like, oh my god, Amazeus, what? And Athena says that she knows who the bully is. And
See, at this point, I realized exactly what they were
Yep.
drawing inspiration from.
oh, I did
I was
too.
like, oh, we're going there, aren't we?
Yeah, I
Okay.
I did really like this scene because of like with the Athena May stuff, because yes, they really haven't talked about it, and I'm sure May has like obviously we saw May talk about it in like not in a while, but like in a previous season when she was a dispatcher and she was taking a call. Actually, that scene has been popping up on like my For You page like quite a bit recently with this episode and stuff. And I'm just like, so I've been reminded of it, but I did really like that they're not necessarily talking about it, but they're still like talking about it. And like it's understandable they really haven't talked about it. I think it's one of those things for like for Athena, it's like she probably doesn't want to bring it up. I think it's like it's really hard to bring that up because it can just bring up so many emotions, not even just like make them shut down. It could like you don't want to upset somebody if you do bring it up, which I'm glad it was more so May bringing it up because it was on her terms. But I think it was important for them to obviously have this conversation. And like they didn't need to get into details, but I think just hearing what May had to say and her talking about like waking up in the hospital, it was very important. I think it was good that they did revisit this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like this whole storyline is rough, but glad that we are talking about it again because we really haven't spoken about it in seasons. Like there was that period with May before, what was it, season 5-ish, where that all came up, like her
Yeah.
listening to the recording and stuff.
Mm,
Oh,
And I
I
know
forgot
like
about that. I
yeah.
just the one thing I remember is like that call where the girl was basically gonna take her own life, and May said how she knew how she felt, and it was like when Claudette was there, and Claudette was like you it was gonna take over the call, and May was like saying how like telling her experience, and then like that got Claudette to back down. And every time I see that scene, I get mad because of the way Claudette was at
Oh,
the
yeah.
time. I was like, I just want to beat this bitch up.
Yeah, because she was
It
trying to
makes me
say
oh
that May
so
gosh,
shouldn't
I
be
mad.
lying
forgot
to the
about
caller.
Claudette.
And then
I
Claude,
forgot
yeah.
about Claudette.
Creepy.
Willingly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually completely forgot about that. I was thinking of the recording, and I was also like generally thinking, because I think this ties back to that point. I was thinking of her applying for like this job, like the dispatching job, and having like the whole conversation of her suicide attempt come up because I think they had like they had her doing some mental health check-ins. They wanted to discuss it because obviously it was on her like record and stuff like that. Not criminal record, but just in general record. So that's what I was saying. I completely forgot about that call.
Right. Yeah, that kind of makes me want to revisit at least those early scenes because I vaguely remember like it being a thing. Like Sue brought it up obviously as like her
Mhm.
boss.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we go into the next scene, which Athena is showing up at the mother Cynthia's house, and the mom is like so certain, which obviously this is like very obvious, that it's Bailey who did all this. But Athena's like, I don't think it was her. And Athena says how so she's like, we're gonna start with you. And the mom is like so baffled, like me. And
Mm-hmm.
because like apparently they use like a different app, like a phantom app and stuff. And Athena says how like the text can like run through your data, and then we'll move on to the actual suspects. But like you already know what she's doing. And then the mom like goes to get her phone or whatever. And then after like a few minutes, it's like she's not coming back. So Athena's like knocking on the bathroom door and asking her to
Well,
open
no,
up.
she saw the phone was ringing and it was in the kitchen because Alicia was actually
Yeah.
calling
Charging.
her mom and she's like, she never went to get her phone.
All right. She took off.
Well, sort not take off, but she,
Well,
in
yeah.
figuratively,
Not
yeah,
not
I
take off,
guess.
but
Yeah.
she was trying to escape it somehow.
So, Athena's like trying to get her to open up, but it's like, so she has to break down the door. And Athena breaks down the door, and Cynthia's like, oh no, like, let me go. And Athena's like, you're not getting off that easy. And obviously, like, this was inspired by the real case, if nobody's heard about it. There was like a Netflix documentary about it called The Unknown Number, which was
Mm.
Unknown Number, the high school catfish, just in case anybody actually wants to watch it. And then basically the documentary detailed the shocking true story of Kendra, a Michigan mother who secretly harassed her own daughter and her daughter's boyfriend with thousands of anonymous threatening text messages over nearly 2 years. And in that case, the bullying was so extensive and severe that it involved like school administrators, local police, and eventually to the FBI. And the investigation revealed that the unknown number sending the messages was obviously the girl's real mother, which I'm just like, when I heard about this, it was like not that long ago, because obviously this documentary just came out this year. And I haven't seen it, but like I seen so many videos on it. And I just like so I don't even know what to think about it. It's just like obviously when it happens to be like the person's own parent, it's just like you can't believe that somebody would do something so heinous and so just vile to their own child.
All right.
The person they're supposed to
Yeah.
be there and protect them most, the fact that they do it to their child is just like sickening.
And I think what's very like very grim is like in so many cases, a child's first bully or like first tormentor of some kind does go back to the parent or sometimes a sibling. It's often starts at family.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize I'm also saying this from her place as someone who had that, but it's like there are so many cases where that happens, but to see someone so deliberately setting out
Yeah.
to hurt them, to try and frame someone, because I don't think we like fully get this said, but like I feel like it's kind of implied she encouraged her to like stop talking to her friends, to like start suspecting everyone, getting her to be paranoid. Like just seeing the amount of intention that was put into it is, I don't know, it's like it's whole other level of cruelty.
Yeah, it was for sure. It was disgusting. As soon as I realized it, because I from the beginning I kind of was like, seems a little fishy, and then as we got through the storyline a little more, I was like, yeah. So the mom was basically jealous that she was starting to have friends and start doing things that wasn't, with mom, because mom wasn't her only primary person, and mom just had her own mental health issues. And I'm glad Athena stopped her from trying to kill herself, because she doesn't deserve to go out that way. She deserves a special place in hell for sure. You don't do that to kids. And like, this girl was just starting her own life. Like, she's 18, she's senior in high school, she's getting ready to graduate. Everything, it's just, she has her whole life, and now this is what's going to be hanging over her for the rest of her life.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, I do think what is interesting is that this is also, just last episode, we also had the girl whose parents were like part of that like cultish church thing, where you also had that instance of like the girl was starting to branch out, trying to find other ways, trying to find an escape. Like the last episode, it was an instance of like the girl lied and said it was a missionary trip, but she was trying to look at colleges out of state. And I think it's just, I don't know, I think it's interesting to have these back to back, but also it's sending a message, and I agree with the message it's sending for sure.
Yeah,
as rough as it is.
Yeah, I loved all the people who are like, they copied this, and I'm just like, guys, you do realize that a lot of TV shows, like, you really, not to be like, you really don't get out much, but like, you obviously don't watch TV shows if you haven't seen like the ripped from the headlines. They did like
Also, like
obviously
historically they've done this. Like they've always done this. Every show does this.
911, every network show
does
does.
it. Yeah, literally every show does this. Like especially like when I was in high school, there were so many like movies I watched that were basically from like real cases. I literally lived off of like Law and Order type shows. So like this is nothing new. And I saw like one or two comments about this, and even people in the comments are like calling out and be like, 911 has done this before. A lot of shows do this because like that they obviously like a lot of the like obviously the calls they take from real calls that people have gone on, like because that's what makes it real, clearly.
Yeah.
But I did.
Yeah, they'll put their own twists. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
historically,
that's what I like.
in case you're new to general TV, we've all been there, but this happens all the time. But right. I just was like, oh, okay. So like I think it was just knowing that this also came out like this year. I didn't have a problem with it or anything, but I was like, oh, because of all the hype around it, I kind of clocked it decently fast, that like the moment they started actually hinting that it was the mother, I was like, oh, I know where they got this from. Whereas other stuff they pulled from years ago.
So apparently I don't watch the news very much, because this was totally new to me. I had no idea that this was a thing.
I'm just trying to clear
I had heard about it not too long ago and stuff. I think I saw like, because a lot of the videos that pop up like for me are like sometimes happen to be like different cases and stuff. So that's how I found out about it.
I'm just online a lot. I've never seen the documentary. I've heard it's absolutely like gut wrenching, but
I'm not gonna lie.
I've heard it's good. Like it's hard, but I've heard it's good.
Because honestly, looking at it, I would rather watch a documentary than watch like when they make movies about these cases. It's just obviously the documentary is going to be like way different, and I just don't like what some of these movies do.
Oh yeah, this is going to be turned into like a thriller within the next year for sure. Like it's going to be
Be the next
But
made for TV movie.
Yeah.
Lifetime
Friends,
always
yeah.
seemed to be the network that always did that too. They did that with the Amanda Knox story. I think they're doing another Amanda Knox movie now. That was a
but
creepy storyline.
For anyone listening who has any interest in this story, from what I've heard, I've not personally watched it, but I have heard the documentary is actually really interesting. Just go in prepared for it being really like upsetting and disturbing.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
I am interested. But anyways, moving on. So Buck is like waiting at the academy for Harry after the test and interviews, and Buck thinks like, so when Harry comes out, he's like, oh, it was like the physical part, like he's saying like, oh, it was this and like of the test, and Harry was like, no, it was the interview. And Buck is like, well, we had your questions in like the right place, like your answers were good. And Harry was saying how he had it down, but they asked him about his criminal history, and Buck's like, well, that's protocol, like that's normal. Like they ask, like you told him you don't have one, and obviously Buck doesn't know. And Harry is just like shaking his head, like very like a little slowly, and it's just like, no. And so Harry, when they go back to Buck's place, he's explaining it to Buck, saying he hit someone, but it was self-defense. And like he's explaining the whole like situation, saying how he's underage and he didn't realize that they would be able to see that because he was a minor when it happened. Buck says like, okay, well, this isn't the worst thing. It's not like you committed arson. It's simple assault. And I love how that's his reasoning. It's like,
Buck.
at least you didn't do arson. Like that would be definitely a red flag, but it's simple assault. It's not like it will keep you from getting in. And Harry said they want to speak to his probation officer, and
as long
Buck's
as you're
like,
up
okay.
front, there are things that they will accept.
Yeah.
And
if you hide it, you're out.
oh
Right.
yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah.
And that the court released him to his mother. And Buck's like, and Harry says like, look, he doesn't even want me like doing any of this in the first place. He needs to go with her to win, not like another problem she needs to fix, which is true. And Buck says like she won't see it that way, and Harry's like, he sees it that way. He can't accomplish this on his own terms, that he's just not going to do it. And Harry's like, yeah, I dropped out, and nobody needs to know that he failed except Buck. And Buck is like, come on, Harry. And Harry like thanks him and says sorry for wasting his time. I mean, good on him for that, but like, yeah, that was
Can I
a tough
Can
one.
I just say that I want to give the 911 writers a gold star because thank you for the continuity of pulling this up. I completely forgot about this. I completely forgot Harry had a criminal record, technically. I forgot. A lot happened A lot has happened in the last couple seasons in my defense.
Was it last season?
It was season before that. I think so. Yeah, it was.
But in the last couple of seasons, so much has happened, and I completely forgot about it. I don't know about you guys. I completely forgot.
It was kind of one of those things where when they brought it up, it clicked with me right away, but like I just haven't thought about it in a while.
First, like when he was like, "Oh, the criminal record," I was like, "Does Harry have a criminal record?"
When this
and then like the
up,
next couple of questions, I was like, "Oh wait, yeah."
No, this came up right before the fire at Bobby and Athena's house.
Oh yeah, and then we got distracted. Then we got distracted. You're right.
I was like, I knew it was recently
for the show.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I have heard, like, granted, I've not really been online since, like, this season aired, so I don't know if people were saying stuff about it, but I feel like they could have gotten away with coasting through for a little while on not saying anything, and then someone would rewatch the seasons and be like, wait, what? But they actually addressed it, and I'm so happy they did.
I was gonna say, isn't this when Harry was recast? That was when he showed up.
Yes,
which
I just couldn't remember what season it was.
Miami?
I think
he ran away.
Actually, no, it was before season 7. I think it was the end of season 6.
Well, yeah. So I thought there was a situation where he came and he surprised them that he was there, and then he got in trouble because he needed money or something like that, and then like Bobby met him at the station, or Athena met him at the station when he was getting bailed. I don't remember. Yeah,
I don't remember it like that. I remember them at the
I'm looking it up.
house and they smelt something and they were like, what the heck? And then it was like, Harry's there.
Right.
And I think it was kind of one of those things where it wasn't working out for, well, he was on the run. And then they worked out a
Yeah.
deal with Florida where he was staying with
Mhm.
David and Michael.
Yeah. Because it
That's
happened in
how I
Florida.
remember it.
And then yeah, you're right.
So yeah, it was not season 6. It was season 7 that he
I
came back.
couldn't remember, but I knew it was,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause
I
was
was like, let me just look it up because I don't remember.
Right. I know. I was just starting
That-
to do that. I was like, okay.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
so I was I clocked it pretty good.
A
It's
fair
kind of
amount
one of
happened
those
in season
things where I was
7,
like,
but that was not one of the things I remembered.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I couldn't. My thing is, I couldn't remember when the fire happened at first, because like between Bobby dying last season, and then I was like, wait, was that the season before that? And I'm like, okay, now this makes sense because I see so many videos where people are like, that is season 7. People are like, just stop watching here. Not to say I agree. I'm just saying that's what I remember about that whole thing. Then we move on where Athena is with Alicia in the hospital and she's like going to see her mother, and Athena's like telling her, oh, you don't have to go see her. You don't have to like do this. Nobody would blame you if you never spoke to her again. And Alicia's like, she's my mother. And Athena reminds her that she doesn't, like, you don't owe her anything. And Alicia's like, well, I need to say something. Like, she needs to hear it from me. So she does talk to her. And, like, this lady, like some mother, she wanted her daughter to know how scary the world is. So she decided to torment her own daughter. Make that make sense, because that makes no sense. Like, there's one thing for, like, scared straight, but to absolutely do what she did is like crossing the line. Like,
Right.
obviously that goes without saying. So her mother is like, and it's like she's like, Felicia tells her mother that you're the one I'm scared of, basically. And she's like, I'm moving on. I'm gonna start a new life. I'm not gonna talk to you ever again, so don't go looking for me. And then Alicia walks out and Bailey's there, and they kind of walk out together, and that was that. Which, good on her, because there's a lot of people that'll be in these terrible, toxic situations and they won't walk away, or it's hard to walk away because you're wondering if they will keep looking for you. And obviously, I hope she takes whatever steps or whatever precautions that she has to do.
Yeah, I'm glad they went with this because like I'm so over the mentality of but it's my mom, but it's my dad, but it's my especially when people are weaponizing that against you. I'm
Yeah.
like, me? I'm like, snip, snip, motherfucker.
Amen.
Snip, snip. Fuck that. I'm so over all that.
Yeah.
I will say, well, I am happy it ended like this, that like Alicia, she is an adult, so she can just walk away. And or Bailey showed up for her and like she gotta have a little closure. I feel like personally I thought this ending to the whole scenario felt a little lackluster. Like
Yeah.
I kind of felt like, in my opinion, maybe because I'm not like that kind of crazy person. Well, crazy, I'm not that kind of crazy person. The reasoning didn't make a whole ton of solid sense. Just like said like it was. And like, oh, it just ends at I don't know. I don't know. I was just kind of like I think I kind of wanted more. Like I feel like this was a little abrupt, maybe is a
Yeah.
good word. But you know what? I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah.
We had a lot of other stuff in this episode.
Yeah, and I think also too, like, we'll probably never see these characters again. So I think it was more of a, this is how we're gonna wrap it up. Yes, we addressed the mom's reasonings for doing it, and the daughter decided, she's like, I'm just gonna walk away. And that was
You know what?
It
You know what
was-
it felt like?
hmm,
I felt like those scenes in like books and movies where sometimes like it almost feels like they're reading you like the clinical explanation of why something happens rather than actually try and portray it from that person's view. Which, granted, I'm not saying like the mother in this situation would have had a valid viewpoint, because no, drove her daughter to try and kill herself. But it's like, oh, this is the clinical explanation. Like you can find almost these exact same words in whatever textbook you have. That's what it felt like to me. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys agree, but I don't know. I'll take it. It's fine. But like, little letdown.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I wasn't really thinking about it that much. I was just like, whatever, it's a side scene. Like,
Yeah.
she got the justice, and she got the justice or whatever. Well, the justice would have been like her being arrested, but I feel like that was heavily applied.
Well, and there was a cop outside her room too.
True.
Yeah.
When
So
they
Yeah, then so I'm pretty sure she is in custody. So we do love that.
So that was I'm just at least glad that was implied. I mean, it's kind of obvious that if you torment somebody like that you're not going to get away with it. At least I would hope
right.
so.
But the weird thing is, like, it always adds this question of, well, if these are the people that are caught, and yeah, talking about the real life situation as well, how much does this happen that nobody knows about? Because, like, these
Good
phantom
question.
apps are scary.
Mm-hmm.
Call me a boomer if you want. But these phantom, I said that as EJ was drinking, and I just saw her almost choke.
I was taking a pill too, and I was like, that almost went down. Call you a boomer? No, no, no.
I get what she's saying though, because with some of
Yeah.
this AI shit, I'm like, what the
I'm
hell?
hating this AI. I
Don't
so
get me
much hating the
I
AI.
I hate AI.
Listen, I don't like it's complicated. Like I can see why in some senses it can be useful, but I feel like people like do I use it sometimes? Yes, but I do not use it like for like, everything and stuff. It has its place, but like it's in some senses it is really bad. And like that's all I'll say on that, so we don't go on this long tangent about that as well. So then Buck and Harry, we see the scene, and Harry's like to Buck, like we're getting dinner, but this is like I was picturing something maybe less formal, and Buck's like saying like, "Oh, you'll be fine." Harry's like all worried about the food and stuff, like it's an expensive looking place, and Buck tells him, "Well, we're not really here to eat anyways." And then this is when Harry like spots someone and is like, "Isn't that the fire chief?" And Buck. Look on Buck's face, it's kind of like the vibe of like, I guess it is.
Gee, fancy seeing you around here.
Right?
Then Harry, is just, like freaking out just like a tiny bit. And it's like, oh my God, like it is. And Buck says, yeah, it is. And Buck tells Harry that, like he is just gonna talk to him. And I love Harry saying, Bobby used to get this like little vein popping in his neck sometimes when he'd talk about you. This is why, isn't it? That was
This
so
is-
funny.
I love that line.
And
I
then
was just like, this feels like it was pulled straight from a fanfic, and I'm living for it.
Yes,
That
for sure.
line is perfect.
Not just a fanfic. You know how many? Like
Yes.
that's fanfic right there. Totally.
I love it.
Mhm.
And then Buck tells Harry he is gonna make his case for why he deserves a shot, because that's what he wants, right? And Buck tells Harry that he knows that he is only 18 and you've already had a lot of loss. So Buck thinks he is afraid of losing one more thing and that you've decided you'd rather just walk away. But he promises him giving it up is not gonna hurt any less than having them take it away. Buck says, despite the vein popping and driving him crazy, there's one thing Bobby would never let me do. Harry's like, what? And Buck says, he would never let me give up on myself, which is true. It's very true.
It's
So
true.
true.
Then Buck introduces Harry to the Chief, which he has met before, so he's kind of like, oh, do you remember Bobby's stepson? And Simpson says, like, oh, it's good to see you.
I
And
just love that they basically accosted him outside of the restaurant.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You finish your
literally,
dinner and
yeah. So then Buck says how Harry just applied to the academy, and Simpson's like, yes, but I was told he dropped out. And he asks if he was mistaken. Harry says how he was mistaken. It explains that 2 years ago he made a mistake saying a manager in a store made false accusations, put his hands on Harry. Harry fought back, and Simpson says he was justified, and Harry says how he thought he was at the time, and Simpson asks about now. And Harry says he likes to think he would find a different way to handle that situation. Simpson asks if Harry thinks he deserves another chance, and Harry says he doesn't know if he deserves one, but he promises him he won't waste it. He knows what the uniform stands for, and he promises not to dishonor him. I love Buck just standing there listening, like all proud. Like he has no like line in this what conversation, but he's just kind of there, and it's great.
He's like, I'm just the Uber.
Literally.
Like,
and then
also like slash kidnapper.
yeah, and then Simpson says like his ride is here, and Harry thanks him for hearing him out and tells him to have a good night. And Simpson's like, Monday morning, candidate Grant you're to report to the training center. And Harry says, you're giving me another shot, and Simpson says, let's see what you do with it. And then Harry says he can't believe that worked, and Buck says, how do you want to celebrate? And this is when they run into Chim, and he says, celebrate what? And Buck is then like, Chim, what are you doing here? And Chim says so casually, oh, I was having dinner with the chief. And Buck's face, and then him being like, why? That scene, that line, it's just like Buck's face was so like it was great because he was just like, what? Just you casually having dinner with the fire chief.
Right.
I love that Simpson just like spawns in and then spawns back out. It just like points in the show.
And Chim is just like so like has no words. He's speechless at like Buck them running into each other. It was just like not. It was like oh they were like at the wrong place, wrong time because they're like finding out each other's secrets essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like yeah, bad timing I guess is a better way to say it.
Right.
But not like bad thing. And that oh, I love this next part. So the captain situation. So Simpson's giving this big speech again at the 118. And Simpson, so in front of everyone, and we already know where this is going. So he says, last time that I stood here before you, it was to remember what we had lost, a fallen hero, but today we are here to celebrate something that we've gained, a new captain to lead the 118. When firefighter Han approached me and asked me to be considered for the job, I had only one thought. What the hell took you so long? I loved him saying that too. And then I love how everyone laughed at that. That was like he does know too how to deliver a great speech, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on to say, but I think it was his hesitation, that sober consideration, that demonstrated he was the right person for the job. To lead such brave men and women is an honor. It is a burden. It is a privilege. And I believe that Captain Howard Hahn is up for the task. And like everyone cheering and Chim's shaking Simpson's hand and Eddie in the crowd just being like, go Cap. And then obviously like that pinning part of like the ceremony where Maddie's pinning the badge on Chim, which is great. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster of emotions with this whole like captain thing since losing Bobby. But I will say I am happy where we ended up. Yeah. It's good, especially with the stuff we get.
Yeah.
In the next scene too. Yeah, I love them like celebrating Chim. They're all like celebrating. But I love Chim's like surrogate parents being there.
And I think it was a big monumental thing for the Lees too, because yes, we know that Kevin passed away on the job, but to see Chim come all this way to become captain of the 118, that was a big thing.
Yeah, it was. And I love that Athena is seeing like Bobby's dedication too for the first time because obviously she wasn't there before.
Right.
And May is like asking her how she thinks he would like it. And Athena says she thinks he would have been terribly embarrassed, but he would secretly love it. And she's not wrong. So many scenes are flashing back to me, like thinking about this. I was just like, yeah, I remember after the cruise ship when he also got honored along with everyone else at the 118 that helped save him and Tommy. And Bobby couldn't accept it. He he had that moment. I've been thinking about that a lot because why did we go from like Bobby like basically saying that like in that scene he was like essentially implying that like he should be dead, and then like literally not even a season later he actually
Yeah.
is dead. I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, this is rough."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And Harry doesn't know if this is the best time or the worst time to tell them, and Athena just clocks it right away and is just like, "You got into the Fire Academy, didn't you?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Harry's like,
Harry, I don't know if this is the best time, but you know what? We'll roll with it.
it's kind of like when you
do.
bring up something like that. I guess it's not like terrible. It's not like he's bringing it up at like, I don't know, like a funeral or somebody's wedding. So at least it's
True.
not like he's announcing it at that. It is just like, sometimes you gotta spit it out. And I'm like, okay, go for it. And Harry's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And May's like, oh, that's and Athena's like congratulating him. And Harry is kind of surprised by that. And Athena says how she's like proud of him. And I love like Jim's going upstairs and saying to everyone, hey, maybe you guys didn't hear, but there's a party downstairs. And Eddie is holding a gift. And Jim is asking what that is. And Eddie tells him, you took an oath, you get a prize. It's so funny.
Love it.
And Jim is guessing, like, oh, it's a coffee mug, a rubber axe. Tell me that nothing's gonna pop out at me.
I thought
S-
something was going to pop out at him.
I thought it was gonna
Are
be
they
like
gonna get him
glitter
a
or
gag
something.
gift, or are they gonna like get him like an
Yeah.
actual gift?
I was
You
like-
never know. It is the 118 we're talking about.
Exactly. That's why I was like, I was hesitant. I was like, is this gonna be a serious gift? Is this gonna be like glitter bomb?
I feel like they have to like rein it in a little bit. Like right now they have to hit him with emotion, and then later they're gonna like definitely there's gonna be a 118 prank wars.
Oh gosh,
Yes.
yeah.
Leave something in his desk. Like
Literally. So he opens it up and it's a watch, and Jim's looking at it, and you can tell he's touched, which I thought was very sweet. And I love Robbie being like, we made him speechless.
And I love Robbie being included in all this.
I know. It's just
I feel like he's properly settling into like the general 118 sphere now instead of like being as much on the outskirts as he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we can always do more, but
I do like that we're seeing him like here at the 118. It's just kind of one of those things when anytime that there's a scene with the core group and then we see Robbie, I'm like, oh yay, he's here. Like, cause it's kind of like once I see him, I'm like, okay, good. So Buck says, wait till he sees the rest, and Hen tells him to read the back. So Jim, flips it over and he reads it back, and there's a quote on the back of the watch. It says, the 118, it's not just a number, it's us, which obviously Jim was saying at the end of last season stuff. And I love that's one of my favorite quotes recently. I love that. And so the fact that they did that, I love it. Such a great touch. And Jim's like telling them that he promises he won't let them down, okay? And then we kind of get away from that, and Han goes down the stairs and she's stumbling over like the last few steps, and this is getting a little concerning. And Maddie is like asking if she's okay, and Han is like, "Oh, I'm just loopy, didn't sleep very much," and I'm like, "Okay." And Hen says, like, she can't get this medical mystery out of her head, and Maddie says she doesn't miss those, like, and then it's like Hen being like, oh yeah, you were a nurse in Pennsylvania. Like, did you ever see any Lyme disease? And I'm just like, okay. And Maddie asks like why, and Hen's just like, oh, this patient we had in her 40s, she had like all these symptoms, but she hadn't been anywhere east of the Rockies. And then they're like talking about like all these illnesses. And then Maddie's like asking questions, and it's like Maddie makes this comment. Unfortunately, you can't put a CT scan in the back of the ambulance. And I already knew where they're going, and I was like, no. And this makes sense.
I didn't catch on at first, and then I was like,
oh no, this
I know this is going.
Yep, I knew. The second she said that, I was like, no, abort mission, abort mission.
It was like a couple sentences later that like I was like, oh wait.
Yeah.
When Hen looked thoughtful, I was like, oh.
This makes Hen think of something, and Hen shows up at the CT scan place, and like the guy before is like, oh well, we don't take insurance, and Hen's saying, oh, she'll pay in cash, and I'm just thinking, when did she have money?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, like
I'm just logically thinking about that. Like, I don't know. It's very interesting to me. It just gave off a certain feeling. And then he told her, "Oh, you don't want anybody to know you're sick." And Hen says she doesn't need anyone asking questions, which I could understand if you're kind of like
Right.
in that, what the heck is wrong with me? You don't want people knowing.
Right.
Yeah, that's something. And so he's like, "Okay, firefighter Wilson, welcome to Luna." As the CT scan goes back, and I mean, I'm curious about some things, but I would never do anything like this. And those things are expensive. Like, I was looking it up earlier, and like they could be like $3,000, if not more. Like, because
yeah.
these are like more specialized ones too. Like I don't know. Yeah, so we don't know what's going on with Hen. Like, this just randomly popped up.
Yeah, there's been no indication of any kind of health stuff with her, so it's definitely
And
curious where they're going with this.
I know everyone's like, okay, first we lose Bobby, and now we don't. What's going on with Hen? And I'm like, so I don't know if she's just here, if she's just wondering about these different illnesses. And I did see somebody say this earlier, and I thought it was interesting and stuff where they were like, okay, Hen who went to med school for a bit and is a paramedic is just like, oh, I'm having this issue, but she, instead of going to a doctor, she goes to get a CT scan, like whatever, like a non, like, I get it's medical, but it's like it's also like sort of not.
Not real medical.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just like
yeah,
this.
I don't know.
I mean, I
I don't know about
have
this one.
seen this sort of thing in shows before. Like, this reminds me, for anybody that's seen Grey's Anatomy, this reminds me in like that first, in like season 5, I think it was, of Grey's Anatomy, when Izzy literally does like these procedures on herself, like CT scans, all these things for the interns because she's wondering what's going on with her. And also, like, blood was switched, so one person was told she had cancer, and then the other person was anemic, and it ended up being flip-flop, so she had the cancer, and then she started doing all these expensive tests on herself because she was like, what's going on? This gives me the same vibe.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and I can understand where Hen is coming from. She's not wanting to just let anybody know. She wants to know all the answers before she can start,
Right. She
talking
probably
about it
doesn't
to
want to
people.
worry, like, Karen, her kids.
Mm-hmm. And they just got, Chim just stepped up, got kind of settled into the 118, and then now she's starting to have problems. And
Right, if she has problems where she has to be out of work, that's gonna put them in like
yeah,
some sort of bind.
Lyme disease can be debilitating, and I think that's what they're hinting at.
I kind of hope it's not that,
Yeah, me too.
just because, like, I feel like, I don't know. I have an uncle that had Lyme disease, and it went undiagnosed for a really long time. So he has like a lot of neurological problems now. Like, he gets really bad like brain fog and like just a lot of different things. And so it is terrible, but I kind of was hoping that they would like do something else. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're doing or if that's what she's thinking. I'm interested to see what it is. It's very interesting because she had the rash, and obviously she's having like these like mobility issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's having like the all these things, and I was just like, I know a lot of people are like, I wonder if this has to do with space. Which I'm like, they've been home for a while. It's kind of like you would think these things would pop up sooner.
Yeah, well, depends on what it is. And she also did collapse, and I know that there's certain heart conditions can cause people to just totally pass out and sometimes come to hours, minutes later, which is kind of what happened to her. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I will weigh in a little bit because I had a bout of Lyme when I was a child. Actually, most people in my family did. Because of the circumstances we lived in. And one member of my family had Lyme for around 10 to 12 years, going back and forth. Lyme caused them to go blind briefly, caused them not be able to get out of bed. It was absolutely debilitating. And this is all stuff I sort of remember, slash, because I do not remember most of that period of my life. But it is, I don't know. I think it is a tricky topic, and it is a little bit of a sore topic for me.
Mhm.
So for various reasons, not even as much connected to my bout with it that I have no recollection of, and only really being remembering being told I was, and more with different things with that family member. And also my family did holistic medicine growing up, so also different trauma and memories having to relate to that. So I have some weighty feelings about this topic, and I wasn't really expecting to run into them this episode. So
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about any of this. I don't know. I'm hoping it's not that, but like also I don't want it to be anything too bad either. Like I don't know.
Right.
I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. I don't know. It has me
Yeah.
almost inexplicably on edge because
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the tremors, like, and I know that's gonna come up too, like when they come back after the break. I do know because my uncle's case was like undiagnosed, so he has to live with it for the rest of his life. So if it's like kind of one of those things, is it something that was like she's had for a long time, so now she just has to deal with it? Or is it gonna, that's why I kind of would like it to be something else because I don't know. It's also very confusing because I'm like, okay, what's the point of them giving her an illness and like so suddenly? It's just like, this is like the first episode we're seeing it in. It's just like, oh, what's going on there?
Right.
I just also I feel like some things with Hen's storyline like historically have kind of gone like back and forth in a way that didn't make sense. Like her going to medical school and then leaving medical school and then like her doing all of this. But like she is a medical professional and could absolutely go to a doctor and get like I don't know, like it bothers me a little bit. Only a
I feel
little
like
bit.
it
Like it's
makes
fine.
sense,
But
but that's only because I've watched several shows where you
Mm-hmm.
have a character be a doctor and then they're like a
I mean, historically, make the
paramedic.
worst patients.
Yeah,
Any,
But
any.
it's true. It'd be interesting to see what
Mhm.
they do with this.
I'm kind of delaying my major reaction until we get a little more because I feel like this episode there was so much going on that it's really hard to truly like gauge. Because like yes, Lyme disease
agreed.
can come up with like a rash, and then some of the symptoms that she has had could definitely be seen as that. But then as she was talking to Maddie, there was like, well, but this patient hasn't ever been east of the Mississippi or whatever she said, and so like and I'm like, well, we have ticks here in Washington. In fact, it has
Yeah,
a whole season.
yeah,
Oh yes.
when my mom and I went to Massachusetts a couple months ago, she went to doctor like before we went just because she had a whatever an appointment already, and her doctor was like, "Yeah, I would stay away from wooded areas because Lyme disease is very common
Yeah.
there." And I've
Mm-hmm.
had several patients come back with like either things with ticks or just Lyme disease in general. So we're like, "Yeah, we're not going on any like anything to do with wooded areas." And I think my mom's already cautious about wooded areas because my dad, like when they went on some like beach walk or something along the lines of that in Florida, and he came back with like this really bad, like, I can't even remember what it ended up being, but he had like a really bad like rash thing on his leg and it was just not
Mm,
good. So they've learned
nasty.
their lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, ticks are nasty. I got bitten so many because I grew up on a farm.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how
Dude.
most of my family contracted Lyme disease at
Oh
some
yeah, for
point in
sure.
time because we were bitten and like I grew up on almost over 200 over 100 acres of woods and about half of that was or 100 acres of land, about half of that number. I'm being a little vague on purpose, but about half of that number of acreage was woods. Like it was very tricky. I don't know. Like as I said, I'm a little at on edge just with the topic a bit, but I am gonna kind of just preserve judgment. I'm aware that like my initial reaction is largely due to unrelated trauma about that area of my life.
Yep.
So I
Understandable.
don't know. We'll see how it goes. If it is Lyme, I have never seen a show that dealt with it. but also like I only watch a couple of shows regularly anyway. So I'll interested to see. And also if it's not,
What does it end up being? Yeah.
yeah, like what
Yeah.
where are we going with this?
I mean, I'm kind of hoping they're just dropping random things so that way we get into sort of like the medical emergency, like have like that kind of be unveiled. I think
Yeah.
that would be like we'll kind of see what happens. Overall, I did like this episode. It was kind of like not much was happening, but at the same time a lot was happening. I mean, it was very like major character focused because it focused heavily both on like Hen's storyline and Athena's storyline. I do kind of wish they focused a little bit more on like Eddie because obviously just lost. Yeah, we just lost Abuela, so like I kind of wish we got more of them this episode. But hopefully, when we come back, they touch on those things.
Yeah, I liked this episode. I think I was remarking before we started recording and everything that I think it was a solid episode. It was enjoyable. It was the first four episodes with Space and then Dia de los Muertos. Those were tough episodes to follow, and I feel like this episode struggled a little bit because it followed such like hard-hitting, heavy like topics and
Yeah.
storylines. So, but like overall, I do think, it still dealt with its own heavy topics. It was a good episode. And it was a decent fall finale, I think.
Yeah, the only thing that hit it for me is that we literally went from like 4 episodes of Space, and then we only got 2 normal episodes. Like,
Yeah.
damn, if it makes it feel so short right now.
It does.
And then we'll have 12 episodes left of the season. That's going to be scattered from January to May.
I'm interested to see what they do with that, which I get even if the Winter Olympics isn't on ABC, they're obviously going to take a break because they figure, which I don't watch it, but they probably figured that people are going to watch it, so their ratings would go down.
Right.
So they
Just pretty standard.
Yeah, that's usually what shows do. We'll see. I guess I'm just like I know a lot of people are like January, what the heck? And I'm like, I'm honestly glad for it because like not even like for us obviously recording, it makes it a lot easier on us if they do come back sooner because obviously we don't have to take long breaks or like try to think of things we can fill. But also just I like it'll be interesting to see what episodes are airing when and like because we just got 6 episodes back to back to back.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's gonna be interesting. I am glad about the January timeline because I don't know, we'll just have time to figure out holiday shit and do our own stuff, but we're not gonna have to wait abnormally long into the not abnormally, but just like oddly long into the spring, like for March or something. Like it's fine. It's what it is.
Yeah. I think overall the episode was good. There was a lot going on, and in some ways I was like it seemed like it went very fast, but then also in other ways like we had we had our couple of emergencies, we had a lot of family dynamics and family storylines, and which is great. I love seeing that. So yeah, it's going to be a little bummer that it's going to be another couple months before we have another episode, but at least it's January and not March. Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing what they have kind of planned for the it's weird to say 9B because it's still kind of like usually we get like 9 episodes a half season, so we have B and C, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be like A and B. I would never be like ABC, but I don't know, it just feels
maybe
weird.
that's what they're angling. Do ABC for ABC.
I don't know, that just seems wrong to me because like it's like there's only 2 halves. I don't know, I'm just being very like technical about it, I guess. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not here for it. Sorry, ABC. I'm shutting it down. Or I guess it's more on 911. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I don't know if there were too many fan thoughts. I know a lot of people felt like this episode was like a lot of nothing, which in a sense I understand, but in another sense I don't agree. And I don't know. We'll kind of see.
I feel like that's kind of the consensus. It's like we'll wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, what are we supposed to do?
We're all just chilling.
I did love the Buck and Harry scenes. And I think one of my favorite lines with that whole thing was like, Buck's like, she's not mad at me, is she?
I know.
Because it would be so like Buck to freak out that mom's mad at me.
Yeah. It's very much like older brother, younger brother dynamic.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I thought
It
was
is. I'm here for
very
it.
fun.
I look forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah, me too.
So, moving on to the promo for episode 7. So, yeah, winter premiere will be January 8th. And we'll come back. So, Hen is talking to Athena. And Hen says how she knows she has to tell them she is just not ready for this to be the end of her story. And I'm just sitting here like, what? I get it's a
911,
promo,
what
they're
the hell
being
are you doing?
dramatic, but I'm still like, I just have emotions, okay? I'm just like, what? Henrietta Wilson. I don't know her middle name, otherwise I would say it, but Henrietta, what are you talking about, girl? Anyways, and then Thursday, January 8th, there's a woman in labor in the field and she is 6 centimeters dilated and Hen just has this hand tremor, so she's like to Eddie, glove up, and Eddie is like to her, what? And
And he's gonna deliver a baby. All right.
I love how she's just like, what? I'm doing what now? And I want your mercy. Then Chim's saying how they have smoke and fire coming from the second floor and people are trapped. And Chim puts Hen on search and rescue. We see an explosion and Chim is asking Hen if she copies. And I'm like, yep, of course, of course. This is gonna end so badly.
I'm just wondering if the writers for changed accidentally autocorrected Hen meaning Buck or Eddie, because this seems like something up there like alley.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting.
Yeah, well, I feel like it
Um,
makes sense with the whole medical thing that
Right.
something is going to happen on a call. It's not in this episode. It's leaning more towards this with context, but like if it doesn't happen, and this episode's gonna happen eventually.
True.
See, I know what this is reminding me of now. And the whole like hand trimmer thing specifically is reminds me a lot of Emergency.
Ah.
So Emergency, like the 70s show,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was like the first emergency show to feature paramedics. One of the characters, being vague for anyone who would ever want to watch it, even though it's been out like, 50 years by this point. One of the characters in it experiences hand tremors of some sort, and like there's a whole episode dedicated to that. And it wasn't the same like drama that our shows of today are, but it definitely like that's what I'm thinking of when I'm when I'm like watching this and hearing this stuff about the hand tremors is just this one character like pestering in this instant the paramedic to trying to make him both keep his secret and also tell him what's wrong with him, and this poor paramedic is just like, just go to the doctor. I know the
Right.
doctor.
Yeah, that
That's
happened
what I'm
on
thinking.
another show I watched, a medical show where like the doctor had a hand tremor and he ended up killing like a bunch of people
Yeah.
because of it. And so then he was having like this doctor, like nobody knew that he wasn't performing the surgeries, so this other doctor was like performing the surgeries essentially for him, like he would explain what to do. I think she was far along in like her medical career. Like she was maybe like a resident at this time,
Mm.
and so like she could do it hypothetically, but like I just remember that and stuff. And it was kind of like one of those things where she had noticed it, so she's just like what? And I've seen it in so many, like you see this pop up. I've even like, even in real life, I know like I followed a nurse that she said she had like some medical condition that involved her to have tremors, so she had to like take medication to like control it, but then she ended up having to quit her job because she wanted to start a family and she couldn't be on that medication while pregnant.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Which is tough.
I remember, well, and I was thinking too, like even in this universe, the Huntington's disease, Owen's brother and
Oh
the
yeah.
tremors and TK freaking out about if he was gonna get it. That was the first thing I thought of
I
when I
forgot
heard
about
the
that.
tremors.
I
It's
forgot
not that
about
I
that.
forgot about it, but it's not really on my like focal vision, I guess is a good
Yeah.
way to put it.
It
Like,
just came up in another series that I was watching, and I was like, I called it, and my roommate was like, "How in the world did you figure that one out?" I was like, "Lone Star."
okay, see, I know about it because I've watched like medical shows like literally for literally years. I was probably watching them when I was like, not even before I was a teenager. I was always like drawn to like medical type shows. So like I've seen it in so many shows. It's like not surprising to me when it pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested to see where we go next, and I guess we'll see what happens. Definitely gonna be interesting seeing Harry be like a candidate firefighter.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if there's going to be a time jump or something.
Yeah, it did honestly happen a lot. Like the whole interview thing happened faster than I was expecting, but I also understand that they kind of have to like speed this up like a tiny bit because otherwise, like it was just this is TV. They have to make it like interesting because if they take like a long time for this all to happen, like people are just not going to be interesting. And like I get that Robbie was a probie and Buck was a probie in the show and like Eddie too, but like Eddie didn't really click as much for me. But it is gonna be interesting like having probie that is I don't know. Well, because Harry's a lot younger and like Buck was just stupid with other things when he was. So I think it's gonna be interesting like with that happening on the show because really the only other show that really I feel like it made sense was on Lone Star when Mateo was. I don't know. This is just my my sporadic thinking right now. I'm just interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, well, we'll see you next year. We'll find out soon.
Yes, we will.
It's crazy. We're only not even 2 months away from the new year, so we don't have that long to wait.
Yeah, I mean, right now it kind of feels like a long time because I don't know, it really doesn't. Like, I feel like if they said March, we would have been like, oh my God, that's gonna be forever, even though it tends to go pretty fast.
Well, back in the day, I remember when we had to wait 18 months for Lone Star to come back. We've already done our time.
Back in my day.
I didn't know where you're gonna go with that.
Yeah, I also did not.
I love what you did there, though.
Back in my day.
No, I thought you were gonna just talk about some shows on like a number of years ago.
I know. I almost thought about it, but then I'm like, no, I'm going this way. I want to like. I'm not getting
yeah, no, that's true. Because I remember like that one being on for like 4 months, and then it's just like, oh well, now we only have like a month until Lone Star comes back, and then it would be like, okay, well now we have a few weeks off, and then they ran together. Yeah, that is very true. Before we end, I did want to mention a few things. So we're gonna be taking next week off, so we'll have a new episode in 2 weeks on December 4th. And that's when we'll finally be tackling Nashville, which I know we all are like, okay, we gotta get to it eventually. And we kind of have to like just jump right in, I guess. I've only watched the first episode. I know you guys haven't watched any of it. And the first episode did not inspire me to watch any of it, but I guess we're doing it now. So the next 2 episodes will cover 3 episodes each, and we'll tackle the other ones whenever we get to it, probably at the end of now one, unless there's a break in between to fill whatever. But yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah, just mention that before we end it, so that way nobody's like, wait, what the heck happened? There's no new episode.
Tune in a couple of weeks for our hot takes.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have a bunch.
We will.
Heading on to Country Alley again.
Yeah, so for like the team version of it.
Not guaranteeing that I won't wear a cowboy hat. Oh, I do. I even have one.
I low-key want to get one just for that, even though we don't do video episodes. Someday we do. That'd be funny. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and check us out on YouTube. For more, visit nowonlsroundup.com and follow us on our socials at nowonlsroundup. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And of course, come join us on our Discord server. The links down below and on our website. You guys can follow me, Katie, for the Love Tarlos on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at RonanRafa911 on Instagram and Threads.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Threads. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.